Leeds next at the weekend, a real chance to climb off the bottom of the table, which, Glenn, that would be just huge psychologically, if nothing else, just to get off the bottom of the table at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. The way I've been looking at it for the last few weeks is that until we can string together a run of 2 or 3 games, the league table's irrelevant anyway. And we've had this win against Chelsea, which is a bonus because you don't ever put 3 points down on your predictor when you're playing Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. This Leeds game, however, it is the proverbial 6-pointer. We've blown a number of games that we should have got points in when Nathan Jones was in charge. So if we can go there and win that one, then I will believe we have a serious chance of staying up. And getting off the bottom of the table obviously feeds into that. Leeds, in my opinion, are certainly one of the teams who you're looking at to finish below us. I can only really see Leeds and Bournemouth at the moment, and then you're hoping that you can get above an Everton or
is it 8 points separating the bottom 9? I think after the results today. So
yeah, this. I mean, and you're always looking for one to drop right into it. Now, I'd look at Crystal Palace myself as a team that are currently about 12th, who may well drop into it. And I know their fans are quite worried because they apparently have got not a great run of fixtures coming up. So I think we have to go into this Leeds game as you know. I mean, we have to target every game now because of where we are, but this is certainly one that we've got to look to try and win. They're not great. Steve's already sort of alluded to their defence not being the best. Their goalkeeper he made a horrendous mistake at the weekend, and he's definitely got a ricket in him. Meslier, is it? Yep. Losing to Everton would have put a bit of a downer on them. They've got the temporary manager in charge at the moment, the same as we have. So, it's one that we've got to target and at least make sure we don't get beat. But I think we need to really go for the win in this game. Leeds have got some good players in the sort of like the front half of the pitch. They're sort of line of number 10s, and Team USA in the middle of the park are half decent. Bamford doesn't seem to have got back to his best after his big injury, but certainly a team that we can get at. But we have to turn up, and this is gonna. This sort of game is what is going to make or break our season. The situation we're in now, we can't afford to go up there and get beat.
Well, Steve, the momentum is certainly going to be with us. Is it a case of we've had a few false starts so far this season, but is it a case of lose this and it's back to square one, or are you pretty confident about the weekend?
I mean, both. I'm fairly confident based on what I've seen from us this week and from what I've seen from Leeds in kind of the last 6 weeks, really. They've got a lot of energy, and yet they don't seem to really ever expend it in the right areas. And then they seem surprised when they're kind of exhausted by the end of the game and getting picked off. And but in terms of the overall situation, I mean, most of the other results couldn't have possibly gone an awful lot worse for us, really, with Bournemouth winning, Everton winning, and it just wasn't ideal, given that. I mean, we weren't expecting anything from that game. So, Christ, if we'd lost yesterday, we'd be basically done. We'd be 5 points adrift, and at that point you're just thinking, well, there's no hope. Whereas all of a sudden we go and get this good win where we look organised, we look like we've actually got a tactical plan, with alterations that work based on sort of how the sort of flow of the game changes as it's going on. So yeah, maybe we might be all right, but it's as you say, these games are the big ones. It's I mean, fairly ridiculous that a third of our points this season have come against Chelsea.
That's a great stat.
it's mental, isn't it? But ultimately, it's the ones against the teams around you, because if you're losing to those sort of sides, then they're pulling away from you. Draws, you can kind of take it or leave it, I think, in sort of certainly early in the season. But once you get down to the business end of it, it's wins have got to be the currency. And yeah, I mean, I think we've got the tools to go and win up there. It's a case of whether we can string two good performances back to back, and how we deal with the Ellen Road crowd, because I mean they'll be sort of behind their team from the start, and it'll be loud, and it'll be sort of harem scarum, at least sort of from kickoff. And you've just got to do what you can to quieten them down and sort of wrestle control of the game ourselves. And hopefully we've got a plan in place that's going to let us do that.
Start like we did against Wolves, start like we did against Chelsea, and see. Jacob, as Steve says, you know, the 3 points are going to be key here. The results didn't go our way at the weekend. We said last week, I think this was a good time to be playing Chelsea. It's got to be a great time to be playing Leeds, isn't it? There aren't many clubs. In fact, they're probably the only club that are currently in a worse position than we are in the league. So we've got to go there with our tails up.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think the atmosphere is just going to be just so on a knife edge, isn't it? Because Leeds are going to try and start fast. They're going to be in your face, typical Ellen Road. But I think Southampton really have to go there and stamp their authority like they did yesterday, because it settles the nerves down, not only with supporters, but with themselves as well. It gives them confidence, because, you know, Southampton start well, first 5-10 minutes, they start playing out from the back. They start, you know, looking a little bit more relaxed and fluid, and looking just more likely that they can sustain in the longer the game goes on. I think Leeds are one of those teams that I do expect them to go on a little run soon, purely because of the Ellen Road support. But it's going to be one of those games that I'm going to be extremely nervous for. I haven't felt as tense as I did yesterday. I know Steve alluded to the fact that during the 12 minutes, you know, there wasn't many chances, but in there, I've just become quite numb recently. Not because I'm just trying to be a journalist, but it's just like
a bit cold.
Cold. I've taken all emotion out of it. Where I think it was towards the end where Sekou Mara almost got in and Southampton won a corner. It was showing a match a day, and I was shouting, "Come on!" And I had a few looks around me, but yeah, I just hope that it's not quite as nervous next week, and Southampton can just go there, be calm, but really impose themselves on the game as well.
We don't want any arguments or fisticuffs in the press box, because we know who's responsible if there is. Glenn, just quickly on their manager, I'm not entirely sure what the latest is. Does it make a difference if they appoint a new manager by the weekend? I don't think it looks like anybody's going to be coming in there. There's a few people that have turned it down.
It doesn't look like it, does it? I mean, they've been looking for a couple of weeks longer than we have, haven't they?
Yep.
And since Jesse Marsh left, so they've got can't remember his first name, Skubala, isn't it, as their caretaker manager? Whether he's someone who really is just holding the baby until they get someone else in. But the longer it goes on, you kind of think managers aren't going to want to join, and that's the situation I feel that we're in. I don't think anyone who's a potential long-term choice as a manager is going to be in a rush to join a team at the bottom of the league with 15 games to go. So I think they're kind of in a similar situation with us, and I think probably, unless there's something I don't know about that Jake is going to tell me in a minute, I feel that both clubs are probably going to end up, you know, going with the managers that they've got in place at the moment for the rest of the season. So I don't see the triumphant return of Bielsa to Leeds or anything like that. I mean, funnily enough, that would give them a big lift, especially the crowd. But I don't really see that happening, to be honest.
Okay. Before we get on to managers and who may or may not be coming in and what we may or may not do, I'm going to trouble you all for a score prediction for the Leeds game. If you're watching live, get on the comments and let us know how you think this one's going to turn out at the weekend. Steve, I'm going to come to you first for a score prediction, please.
Oh God, I kind of feel confident, which is terrifying. 3-1.
3-1 to us.
Why not?
Gosh, right.
Why not?
Okay.
All in.
Glenn, do you share the optimism?
Yeah, slightly more guarded than that, but I'll go for a repeat of what we had yesterday. I'll go for a 1-0 win.
1-0's fine, isn't it? And Mr. Optimism himself, Jacob.
I've doubted Southampton the last 2 weeks. I don't think Southampton are going to keep a clean sheet, second week running. So I'll go back to my usual trusted scoreline of a 2-1 win.
3-2-1 win. All right, I think same as Glenn, I'm gonna go with a 1-0 for that. So stick your predictions in the comments, because we do like reading those afterwards, and I know all the away fans like reading them as well.